Welcome back to 1 Count to 10 Martial Arts School, Copyright 1, Patented 1. For more lessons of 10 Commandment Way. Always as well always. With special honor and great honor, and credit and credits, and many, many thanks going on to Master Jun Fan and his marvelous, advanced, intelligent school, Cocoon, of Jeet Kune Do, which we will be studying today somewhat. Alright, class, thank you for joining us today for more school work in and regarding eternal universal defense, of course. And Master Jun Fan, otherwise known as Master Bruce Lee, Master Bruce Lee, has done much work in and regarding EUD. And if he's still around, still does, of course. Always will, always now. Alright, first of all, credits going out to Master Jun Fan, Master Bruce Lee, and his great school, Jeet Kune Do. And thanks to the song that we just heard from the movie Enter the Dragon. The movie soundtrack song title, which you can find titled Enter the Dragon, OST, 10 Reprise. Alright. Okay, so in our study at school, of course, in class it's important to remember this, but in all martial arts, including Jeet Kune Do and 10 Commandment Way, we are concerned with and regarding the study of all things, and of and regarding the entire universe, always, always. And of course, the defense and defending of all life, always, always, period. All right. Okay. All right here. All right, now we'll proceed here now. Now, class. In our training, as I've stated before, in 10 Commandment Way and in all martial arts, and regarding all martial arts, including Jeet Kune Do, we do definitely study all things in the entire universe, always, always. And we're always concerned with and regarding defending all life, always, always, in all martial arts, including Jeet Kune Do. All right, so today we are honored with the great honor of being able to be associated with and affiliated with Master Bruce Lee and his amazing, miraculous, and marvelous school of Jeet Kune Do. And in our study of all martial art and arts, we are conducting just a brief study today of Jeet Kune Do. And we are greatly honored, and it's a great honor to be able to do so. Always, of course. Alright, so in our studies of and regarding Jeet Kune Do, we begin with 1. Honoring all schools and all martial arts, always, regardless of all, always, period. That is one of the many things that Master Bruce Lee is all about and regarding, always, always. as many of you may know already, of course. And also, we are reminded of and honoring Master Bruce's many studies and sensei. As many of you may know, Master Bruce was, and if he's still around, still is, was a very voracious reader and loved to read books and study great things and study philosophy and many literary works and literatures. And so we're remembering that and honoring that his many studies and sensei, including Master Yip-Man. Very wise and venerable, honorable, awesome teacher, Master Yip-Man. All right. Secondly, in this lesson, at our lessons, we're also covering the English translation of Jeet Kune Do. What Jeet Kune Do means in the English translation, which is, let's see, in the English translation there is two definitions in the English language for Jeet Kune Do. One being the way of the intercepting fist. All right, and the second definition in translation is intercepting fist way. All right, so the way of the intercepting fist and intercepting fist way. And both of these definitions and translations are good and correct. So there's at least two translations in the English language of what Jeet Kune Do means. And let's see here. All right, and thirdly, in this brief study class, and it's not going to be very long, it's just a brief study, and Jeet Kune Do is a very heavy subject in advanced martial art, and could take many years to fully comprehend, many years of training to fully comprehend and study, but let's see here. The third point is remembering and always remembering and honoring and realizing not only Master Jun Fan, Master Bruce Lee's great responsibility, but all senseis and martial art and arts masters and grandmasters, of course. Great responsibility and eternal responsibility, including by all means legally, as per our licenses, certifications, and things, etc. of that nature, of teaching. And we're talking specifically about Master Bruce and regarding Master Bruce in this lesson, but it pertained to all sensei. But so Bruce's great responsibility, always of teaching millions of students, which he does have. He has millions and millions of students, or even billions of his students. Always always. Always is abbreviated aroaa, and we sometimes just abbreviate it because it's easier and just say aroaa. So Bruce's great responsibility, aroaa, to continue to teach and train all his students. There's definitely millions of people, and who knows how many, maybe even billions by now, and who knows how many it will be. So what a great responsibility to teach that many people. So what a great honor too. But all right, with that being said, we are just going to study 3 points of study today of Jeet Kune Do, regarding Jeet Kune Do. 3 points of study, beginning with the formless form. For those of you that have studied Jeet Kune Do, you may have studied the formless form somewhat. And if you legally deserve it, and only if you legally deserve it, then you may be able to find Master Bruce's work in his many books that he has written, including his master work, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. I've been lucky enough in my life and in my existence to study most and actually all of Master Bruce's books. And I've read, the old-fashioned way, I've read most of his books. But so anyway, the 3 points of study today. Beginning with 1, the formless form. The formless form. It may seem potentially contradictory, but it is not. And as I've stated before, Jeet Kune Do is a very advanced and sophisticated martial art and may require many, many years of study to fully comprehend what it's all about and to understand what it is. Alright, in A, aspect and aspects, and eternal universal defense, implication and implications. Beginning with 1. And remember Bruce's brilliance, Master Bruce's brilliance, his creative mind. 1. Unidentifiable technique and or techniques. That your opponent cannot likely nor easily defend against, nor regarding, and or combat, because they and or it is and or are unknown. Such technique is unknown and guarded closely and always defended. As all martial arts, techniques are always relative, always. In all martial arts we do that. We always guard our techniques and the art itself, all arts, totally, 100% totally with our life and with our all. In all martial arts, including Jeet Kune Do, of course. So, let me say that again. Unidentifiable techniques that your opponent cannot likely nor easily defend against, nor regarding, nor combat, because the technique, such technique and her techniques are unknown and guarded closely, as all martial arts techniques are always, always. And unidentifiable and unpredictable technique and her techniques always, always. And you will find it very hard to find such technique in any martial art, in all martial arts. It's very difficult to find such technique unless you legally deserve to, because we guard it so close. Because, well, because we have also have the eternal responsibility to never allow such technique nor art nor arts to fall into the wrong hands and be used for evil. Always always. So we guard such technique and art always always. Alright, so the formless form. And in our study of the formless form, I have made such following note. Now, the formless form gives the practitioner the ability to assume virtually and perhaps potentially, quote, all, end quote, in any form and forms, in form and or forms, through formlessness. Therefore, being able to match any and all opponents' technique and or techniques. So the ability to assume virtually any form through formlessness, therefore being able to match any and all opponents' techniques, attaining equal force. Match any and all opponents' technique and or techniques, attaining equal force at minimum. Aroaa. Including by adapting to your opponent's technique or techniques. So, for example, if your opponent brings or is a practitioner of karate or aikido and brings karate or aikido technique or techniques, in Jeet Kune Do, you can use the formless form to assume techniques of karate or aikido, and or techniques of karate or aikido and or suited to combat karate or aikido, with no dishonor regarding it, aroaa, such as techniques adapting or adapted to and regarding karate or aikido techniques. So the formless form grants and enables the practitioner of Jeet Kune Do to assume any form and to match your opponent's technique, and therefore attain equal force at minimum, aroaa, which is brilliant. All right. So we see Master Bruce's great wisdom and creativity and intelligence in attaining equal force. And the other aforementioned abilities, such as unidentifiable techniques that cannot be easily combated nor defended against regarding, and the total importance of aroaa defending and guarding all martial arts techniques as sensitive information to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands and being used for evil. And class, also before we continue, I would also like to briefly discuss a potential technique of Jeet Kune Do. Potential technique of Jeet Kune Do. Title: No Word Way. So, a potential technique of Jeet Kune Do, title: No Word Way. Class, I hope that you do find in your training, in your study of all martial arts, including Jeet Kune Do, Bruce's extremely important and total lesson and our lessons regarding labels and the lesson and our lessons of words, and how words perhaps always fail to describe things and the good of things and how good things are. Alright, in class, this is just a brief study of Bruce's Jeet Kune Do, not covering anywhere near the entire art of and regarding Jeet Kune Do, such as his tremendous emphasis, Master Bruce's tremendous emphasis on and regarding good health, fitness, exercise, strength training, stretching, diet, proper diet, realism in our training with protective equipment to prevent injury, etc., and many things, including philosophy and life and existence in way and or ways of life, and of course the defense of all life, aroaa, and study of all and all things, aroaa. So remember, this is just a brief study and it's nowhere near covering the entire art of Jeet Kune Do. As I stated before, it could take years and years of study to understand Jeet Kune Do fully. All right, now the next point, very important point, the martial art of, quote, fighting without fighting. The art of fighting without fighting. Master Bruce's Jeet Kune Do. A. Master Bruce's eternal emphasis, aroaa, on and regarding avoiding fighting, quote, end quote. Master Bruce's eternal, 100% total emphasis, aroaa, on and regarding avoiding fighting. As exemplified in his many films and movies and teaching, including his lessons in the video clip from his film Enter the Dragon, which you can find, and I'm trying to direct all of you to, at YouTube, a universal place. All right, titled from his film Enter the Dragon. All right, titled Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, The Art of Fighting Without Fighting. So in your studies to find the importance of this point, of Bruce's Jeet Kune Do, the martial art of fighting without fighting, find this clip titled, from Enter the Dragon, titled Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, The Art of Fighting Without Fighting, in YouTube, Universal Place. In class, please remember the great person and man involved in this lesson, whom is outwitted into going onto a boat and let out to sea, is an awesome student and practitioner of Jeet Kune Do, aroaa, whom is helping Bruce in his teaching and just playing the bad guy, aroaa. Bruce demonstrates the technique and techniques of using intelligence and humor to outwit your opponent and opponents and win without fighting, aroaa. Win without fighting, aroaa. All right, and finally, our eternal concern and concerns regarding Master Bruce's school, work at school, and regarding eternal universal defense, teaching, films, and martial art, and things regarding him being associated and or attempted to be associated with and regarding, quote, fighting, end quote. When he makes and made a 100% total eternal aroaa stand and stance, specifically against and regarding all fighting, as 100% totally proven, verified, evidenced, and documented by this video clip aforementioned, The Art of Fighting Without Fighting, Bruce Lee, The Art of Fighting Without Fighting, and his teaching, and many times in regarding his Jeet Kune Do school and teaching and eternal universal defense, EUD work, etc., aroaa. So we are concerned always regarding any and all peoples associating or attempting to associate Master Bruce and the aforementioned things with fighting. And Bruce is so much about avoiding fighting. And in closing class, we are still studying Master Bruce Lee's technique and her techniques of entitled Dragon Whips Its Tail, as outstanding technique and her techniques, man. Yikes. All right, and just a brief note in closing class before we go out to Bruce Lee's wonderful soundtrack reprise. We're also concerned with and regarding peoples, all peoples, potentially, and all peoples having what I term, or suffering from what I term, Bruce Lee-itis. And which is basically people's over-admiring Bruce, and possibly actually trying to be Bruce Lee, because he is so inspirational, for one thing. Such an inspiration. Bruce Lee is such inspiration, is so inspirational that many, many millions and millions of people look up to him and follow him and study his art and love him, of course, aroaa now. So we're concerned with Bruce Lee-itis, people's over-admiring Bruce and possibly actually trying to be Bruce. People's trying to be Bruce Lee because he's so inspirational, etc. But 100% total eternal truth, fact, interfaction, reality, aroaa class is there's only one Bruce Lee. Aroaa. So by all means, study Jeet Kune Do and in your training, and even be a practitioner of it if you wish to be. It's a wonderful art. But please do not try to be Bruce Lee. Alright, and we'll close the session with Enter the Dragon, OST-10-reprise. And thank you, Master Jun. And all your sensei. Thank you for tuning in for another training session. 1 times 10 martial arts school, taught by 1 Commandment Way, including the study of all martial arts. Peace out. And thank you, Master Jun, and your wonderful school, for the great honor of being able to study your art. Thank you.